Yeah, so Reverend Moore, it's a pleasure to meet you finally.
Absolutely.
And
pleasure
now,
to meet you.
Yeah, thank you. So I've been telling Nigerians, I've had a long conversation with you here, and I can only tell, or rather only say that you guys are working so hard. I know a lot of people out there may not understand how much you do every day. And people are asking questions. Why are things this way? Why is this going on? When is America's intervention going to be felt, and blah, blah, blah. What do you have to say to Nigerians who are very agitated and want to see results like day before yesterday on what you're doing?
Yeah, what I'd say is we are working on this daily. Not only myself, the administration, we just met last week at the White House, and we do have plans, we do have strategy. The things are moving in the right direction, and they are going to start to speed up here at some point. But obviously, we've got to put all of our pieces in place, but things are going to start moving in the right direction.
Thank you for joining us on this platform today. But before we proceed, let us give you an insight of what you're about to watch now about a revelation coming from first-hand sources that had it very clearly that the delegates that came from United States of America and, of course, the Israeli government over Nnamdi Kanu will be leaving to Sokoto prison from Abuja, but before we come back to what we have in stock for you today, let us listen to what this man is saying concerning his first-hand information about the delegates in Nigeria now. All right, welcome back. What is your assessment, or what do you think is the mission of those delegates who are about to leave Abuja now to Sokoto prison?
Thank you for having me. I'm going to tell you that personally, I'm not surprised, because if you look at what has been happening in Sokoto State since Nnamdi Kanu was transferred to that correctional center, you understand that that facility has become a pilgrimage destination. Even his lawyer, one of his lawyers, was emphatic that when he left Sokoto, before he left Sokoto, at the last time he visited Sokoto, that more than 15 foreign persons from different parts of the world were already on ground to fill form, waiting for their turn to see the Nnamdi Kanu. I'm not surprised in any way, because even we understand that someone like the governor of Abia State, talking about Alex Oti, this is in the public domain, visited Sokoto State in his capacity as the governor of the state. Of course, at the time, he was emphatic that he was going to leverage on his closeness, personal relationship with the man Tinubu to push for political solution to Nnamdi Kanu's travail. And why I say I'm not surprised is because of late, we have seen recent development from the global angle, talking about how the issue of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, is surfacing in different forums. The latest one is coming from Israeli assets, where obviously the issue of Biafra was extensively discussed, and even in the castration of Nnamdi Kanu was equally discussed. I think in all of this, I point to the fact that all the work Nnamdi Kanu did before he was arrested are paying off. Because it was not by coincidence that you saw someone like the current chief of staff to the president of the United States of America, Susan Vile, who was at some point in this agitation a lobbyist hired by Nnamdi Kanu. You can see she's occupying a very strategic position. So when we start seeing some level of intervention from the global angle, we know that it's not coming by coincidence, that Nnamdi Kanu did so much due diligence before his incarceration. So in the coming days, just like as everybody watched that video, we are hoping that that meeting is going to yield results. But definitely, by the time they have audience with Nnamdi Kanu, they will hear from him and they will give him the message, of course, they come with. Do not forget that even as we speak, a state in the United States of America already gave Nnamdi Kanu honorary citizenship. So meaning, by the time you are talking about Nnamdi Kanu, you are talking about a U.S. citizen, not just a Nigerian citizen, not just a UK citizen, but a US citizen. So many things have already fallen in pleasant places for the man Nnamdi Kanu. And I think, like I told you, this is not far-fetched. The man Nnamdi Kanu did so much in this regard before his incarceration. He was almost every part of the world. Of course, we understand that what he stood for is purely agitation for the sovereign state of Biafra as a threat in international laws, talking about UN Charter that talks about self-determination, and even an African Charter that talks about self-determination. And as I speak to you, these charters have been ratified in Nigeria. So it is not surprising when we see things falling in prison places for him, because it's not unexpected. Hence, himself have worked for it. So even recently, when we saw the official submitting of documents to, of course, this
Hag.
yesterday by a very well-respected Biafran. You can clearly understand that perhaps this is the reason they say that the issue of Biafra is beyond any individual. Because at the time Nnamdi was incarcerated, before I knew it, we saw Ngozi Orakwe, who sprang up from the United States of America, carried on with agitation. As at the same time, we saw the man who can kill it. But before I knew it, we are seeing even that young boy at the level of Israeli Nasset, who nobody thought such boy is in even preparing or rather doing anything in this regard. We also saw how he was recognized in the Israeli Nasset, how he stood up to wave his hand and as someone who is representing Biafra at that level. And at that point, some people were already asking and saying, this boy must be protected, going by what we know about agitation. That hence he has come out in the public space to make his intention known, just like every other Biafran who have made their intention known, who have done one or two things to advance the cause of Biafra, that this boy, as young as he is, he already knows what is good for his people, that he needs to be protected. And if you look at in Nigeria as we speak, you need to ask, why is the issue of renewed agitation for secession continue to reoccur? Because the reason is very simple. By the time the authority refuse to do the right thing, people will continue to agitate to secede from the country.
But if you're talking about secession currently now, we are seeing a Sunday Igboho, getting involved into a political party. Does it mean that it was just the Yoruba nation, Oduduwa Republic, as at that time, they were just chasing a cloud, or they are trying to spoil the Nnamdi Kanu's look as if they are working together? But in recent, what is your comparison with Nnamdi Kanu and Sunday Igboho currently now?
I will tell you that Nnamdi Kanu stands out. There is no argument about that. Everybody can testify to that, judging by his antecedents and what he stood for and all the travel he has gone through, how he refused to be broken, he stayed high spirit and all of that. This can be attested to by everybody that visited him in custody. But the question is, the man, Sunday Igboho, I'm going to tell you that personally, I never thought it would turn out like this. I had high respect and regard for him, judging by what he stood for. But this is a man who, of course, was very unequivocal about the need for Oduduwa nation. He didn't just start and end it in Nigeria. As at the last count, we saw him going to United Kingdom, submitting a letter to the office of the Prime Minister of United Kingdom, demanding for Oduduwa nation. At the time, we condemned United Kingdom, even their consulate or rather embassy here in Nigeria, where they advised him to drop the agitation and join hands with other members under Nigerians to move Nigeria forward, just as we were asking United Kingdom. When your people wanted to exit European Union, did anybody ask you to drop the idea and join hands with other member European Union country to move European Union forward? But unfortunately, we are seeing a different dimension where a Sunday Igboho is seen in a cab branded of that of APC. It's quite unfortunate, I'm going to tell you, but I don't want to lose my total regard for him. I want to believe that, I want to give it some benefit of that, but I'm going to tell you that I'm not comfortable with the trend, because it's somebody, I believe that he was fighting a genuine cause. But come to think of it, there's nothing that says that if you demand for secession legitimately through right instruments, through self-determination, as long as we are not doing it with, we are not going about it through wanton destruction and license property, you have not done anything wrong, both locally and internationally.
Why yes, a little move a little bit. Why is it that we are always seeing America and Israel delegates, always want to get involved in things that has to do with Biafra? And in their visit to Nnamdi Kanu, is he connected about his appeal or unconditional release?
The way it is, I'm going to tell you that it is a rap. It is difficult to decipher the reason, but I want to believe that whatever makes him get out of that captivity, as long as it's not, there's no condition attached to it, is a welcome development. And even when we saw an honorary citizenship being given to one of the states in the United States of America, I want to believe that it's part of the strategy to drum for his release. So, whatever it is, I want to believe that the reason even the America, the Israel is always interested in anything that has to do with the Kanu and Kanu, because they have seen what he stood for, and they have seen that contrary to the impression that comes from Nigeria, that the man is not a violent man. Because I want to tell you that for even Israeli parliament to recently accept that IPOB is not a terrorist organization, it's going to show you that they are not in agreement with whatever the Nigerian government is saying. The same way the world refused to see Nigerian militants in the creek under Yar'Adua as terrorists, when the government of Yar'Adua was pressuring the international community to designate them as terrorists. I think that is the same fate the Nigerian government is suffering. Because whether we like it or not, the whole world know that every issue that has to do with agitation for the sovereign state of Biafra is born out of genuine interest to protect the people. Because if you look at what is happening in Nigeria currently, a situation where life has become meaningless, life has become worthless, judging by the activities of the Fulani, Marudi Fulani killers, who the whole world have seen as terrorists. I want to say that it's even good now that Nigeria and Nigerians now begin to realize that Fulani terrorists exist. Before we have been saying it, because global terrorism index before now, long ago, already recognized Fulani militias of Nigerian extraction. Emphasis should be laid on that Nigerian extraction. That brought me the fourth most deadly terrorist group in the world.
That brought me to when you mentioned Niger Delta. As at then, they never saw them. But what the position of Asari Dokubo currently now? Did they foresee that it will get to this point, judging by the perception the world was looking at the Niger Delta issue as at that time? Then we are seeing one of the products of that agitation turning against, taking another direction. What is your assessment on Asari Dokubo's position on Biafra, U.S. government, Israel, and of course the possibility of Nigeria breakup currently now?
I think what concerns the man Asari Dokubo is ideological, if you may ask me. But I want to believe that the way it is, he has right to his opinion. However, I don't agree with most of his opinion, because whether we like it or not, he himself has come out clearly to accept that he's an Igbo man. Though at some point he said he wished to remove the Igbo blood in him. That is his own decision. But the question is, I do not accept and believe in what he believes in. Like when he went ahead to disagree with the position of federal government vis-a-vis the presence of the United States of America military in Nigeria. I'm going to tell you that ab initio personally, I supported that partnership because I see it as a panacea to solving this age-long insecurity occasion by Fulani militias. I want to tell you something quickly. That after the bombing of Lakunawa terrorist group in Tangaza local government area of Sokoto State on that Christmas day, that we do not see the bandits, the terrorists like Toji Bello, Ada Aleru come up publicly with impunity to threaten authorities. Even recently when we saw Toji Bello in a video, he was already talking in a different tone, begging for peace, suing for peace. So that is what happens when you exercise the might of your sovereignty. And I continue saying it, and because I believe the essence cannot be overemphasized. That as a country, we must possess monopoly of coercive power to smoke the terrorists out of the hiding places, set them running, and bring them to justice. Because as far as I'm concerned, it makes no sense sharing territories with nonsense actors.
Finally, if at the end of the day, and the delegates we are not able to get exactly by persuading the federal government to release Nnamdi Kanu in all conditions, and by getting back to the people that actually asked this, send them to Nigeria, to report back, and we have this kind of situation where Nnamdi Kanu is being ordered by world powers, to assure us that the world powers is saying that Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government, the APC government, which is also a terrorist party, let me put it that way, should release Nnamdi Kanu with immediate effect. What do you think that should be the decision? Would actually Asura comply to that?
I want to say that there are so many approaches by countries of the world. There are so many diplomatic pressure countries can use. But as it stands, I think we wait and see what will be the next line of action should all their demands meet brick wall. But for now, I think we're interested in Nnamdi Kanu's release.
Okay, on a final note, would Bola Ahmed Tinubu do the needful, or is still looking at the Fulanis before to determine whether he would release Nnamdi Kanu or not? Do you think that Bola Ahmed Tinubu can just willingly on his own, without any foreign or national pressure, release Nnamdi?
I'll tell you that from my own understanding, based on his body language and based on what I can deduce as someone who analyzes the situation, that he will likely release the man Nnamdi Kanu. The reason is not far-fetched, because as we have it, the Alessoti who have a personal relationship with Tinubu have made it clear are going to leverage on that relationship to secure his release. And apart from that, we have seen that monarch from Enugu State who told Tinubu to his face that the ball is in your court. You can see what happened that day, how even the Tinubu himself unconsciously burst into laughter.
But we have seen situations like that in the past.
That is what I'm saying.
Happened.
No. This is the first time we are seeing this. This is the first of its kind. This is the first time somebody will be telling the government to his face, telling the president to his face that the ball is in your court. Let's play the ball the way it will suit the people.